Hey, saludos guardianes y guardianas, bienvenidos a Bastión Spain. Volvemos al Backstage de Bungie, en el que hablaremos de los sonidos de Destiny. No solo la música, sino también los sonidos de las armas, el sonido de los villejos y de algunos malotes. Todo, absolutamente todo lo que hemos escuchado en nuestra saga favorita durante tantos años. En esta ocasión nos centraremos más en la primera parte del juego, puesto que realmente se ha usado el mismo sistema para la secuela. También escucharemos comentarios del trabajo de audio de los propios diseñadores de sonido, y tendremos la oportunidad de aprender cómo tomó forma y se crearon los sonidos que escuchamos en Destiny. Durante el juego hemos encontrado cosas realmente geniales, sobre todo descubrir el sonido de los Vex. ¿Sabías que el sonido de ellos, de los Vex, en realidad es solo agua que se ha manipulado? El juego es genial y la saga es genial, básicamente. Pienso que es de lo mejor que hay en el mundo de los videojuegos. Siempre me está dando esa sensación de pura épica, de flipar con su música y hasta de emocionarme algunas veces. Recuerdo la sensación, que estaréis conmigo, cuando escuchamos por primera vez aquella épica música. Y es que el chan, 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 chan. Sí, luego lo ves ese Oris exponente saliendo ahí del fondo, siendo uno de mis momentos favoritos, tal vez el mejor dentro de la saga del juego, o por lo menos de la primera parte. Es tan bueno que es simplemente increíble. Me encanta hacer vídeos como este y creo que es muy bueno para los fans de los juegos y los jugadores que no tienen experiencia en el desarrollo de los videojuegos, ver lo que implica la creación de juegos así. Me gustaría hacer más vídeos como este, cómo se creó el PvP o el PvE, por ejemplo, cómo se crea la historia, el grimorio. Además, este tipo de vídeos es genial, como decía, para aprender cómo se crea el juego, porque realmente es genial que logremos aprender qué es y cómo se hace un videojuego y cómo es que se crea algo tan increíble, llevando la experiencia de juego a un nivel superior. Así que terminemos ya y empecemos a ver el contenido del vídeo que muestra quién y cómo se han hecho los sonidos y las voces de Destiny y Destiny 2 y que pueda ver las caras reales de tus personajes favoritos otra vez. Así que espero que disfruten del vídeo. Muchísimas gracias por vernos. Dale like y compartir y como siempre, guardianes, nos vemos en la frontera. ¡Hasta luego!
Tenors, can you round out your ah a little? 1, 2, 3.
Leave him wondering how the hell you did it.
The process of making sounds for games has actually gotten easier over the years. The challenge is that we need massively more sounds. We have much more complicated engines and interactions and gameplay mechanisms, and you can make no assumptions about how that's going to be heard by the player.
You've got sound effects, which may be something that's pre-existing, or maybe sound design elements that are implemented in cinematics or in the gameplay. There's Foley, things that are actually recorded, and then there's the music, which obviously has a lot to do with the mood and the feel and the experience that the player has as they go through the game. And then all of that's mixed together in either real time through the gameplay, or in cinematics it may be pre-mixed.
Isn't this Eris Morn ship?
Is it? The thing that's most important to us as an audio team is making sure that the person is always hearing the most important thing in the game at the time they're supposed to hear it. So when you're firing your gun, that should be the most important thing that you hear in the game. We found some contacts that allowed us to go to a very remote area of an Air Force base outside of Las Vegas and be able to record some awesome stuff. It was a fantastic trip.
Rolling, yeah.
We just said, let's record as much varied stuff as we possibly can because we'll find a use for it.
See the crosshair? Yeah.
We recorded about 20 plus different types of weapons from like World War I machine guns to 50 cal sniper rifles. One of the cooler things that we did, which I had never heard about before, was some stuff called tannerite, which is used in sort of target shooting at long distances. And it's 2 powders that you mix together. You can drop it on the ground, you can shoot it with a .22 and it's fine, but if you shoot it with a high-power rifle, it goes kaboom. We basically used that as was the basis of all of our grenade sounds in the game. It was amazing, it was awesome. One of our contacts here at Bungie runs a couple different machine shops, recording anything from lathes to blow torches. There's a stamper machine that was actually punching out circles of like half-inch sheet metal. That actually turned into the Vex footsteps. Anything we could find, we just like basically going to a place that had lots of machinery and saying like, make that go, and we'd record it.
This is a Eurorack synthesizer, something I've been building for a while. It's a bunch of different pieces of synthesizers you put together, kind of make your own instrument out of. A lot of people use it for music, but this is just for sound design. So I'm playing water sounds out of the laptop. It goes through the system, and I'm going to record it here in Pro Tools. This is the water sound without the effects. And this is it with the start of the effects, the beginning of the effects. That's kind of a good sound. It's not quite Vexy enough for me yet. But of course, it can get a lot crazier. I'm increasing the modulation amount that's coming from this thing. It's fun to kind of get out of the box once in a while and get some sort of tactile control going on.
This is actually my instrument. It's called a vibraphone, and normally when you play this, you play with mallets, and so I'm actually using a cello bow. So these are metal keys, and there's an edge on here, and this bow has a lot of rosin. And you just put it on the edge, and you just slowly draw it across, and it can draw a nice sound out. We want to try and get just some things that we can use for like energy or magical tones. Like if you've been through the Fallen transporters or elevators, we'll actually have some of the sound mixed into them.
I designed this little device. It's essentially a guitar pickup without a guitar. If you play guitar, you know that if you walk with your guitar in front of a light, there's this hum. Most people think that's a bad thing. And what I did was essentially embrace that interference. It's all over the Fallen stuff, but the Stealth Vandal is really, when he's invisible, you'll hear a lot of this crackling and these bizarre melodic tones. That's the interference.
Heart of the Black Garden. Damn! Wish I could have seen it.
In Destiny, I am playing the role of Cade.
What have you got?
When we first sit down with a new character and a new actor, we usually take the first couple of pages with the lines that have a little bit more meat to them so that the actor can play with the character and find the voice.
It's just kind of working together with everybody to kind of get in that pocket of, this is her, okay, we found her, now let's go from there.
The fact that you only have your voice to play with might concentrate your mind in a way that perhaps it wouldn't if you were in vision.
Centuries after the coming of the Traveler, those enemies found us.
I play the Queen of the Reef, Mara Sav. She is icily resolved. She will do what she has to do for what she believes in.
Mara Sav bows to no one.
We are Elixir. The kind of gravel and some of the odd little ornaments that I added into it, I want to go for something that has that's got some of that kind of what's called a glottal fry.
You cannot face this alone. When I came to discover the voice of Eris, I thought about despair and darkness, very dark and disturbed. And sonically, that just put it in a low register for me, like almost like a soothsayer, so to speak.
I will not fail.
War is the only constant, Guardians.
Transmission received and verified.
You're still in this fight.
Unit 9940 GM, ready to help.
If the Queen wants it, then do it.
You've changed everything, Guardian.
For organic life to persist, it requires constant adaptation.
You have a stack of lines to say so that they have options for each one. Is it going to be a little more uptight? Is it going to be a little more relaxed? Do they have the options they can slide in there?
Don't look at me. Better say something. Don't look at me. Better say something.
Dynamic dialogue is a really cool thing because what we can do is create a bucket of 4 or 5 different lines.
You say each one in a couple of different ways.
Game decides that one of those lines needs to be played, it'll just pull one of them randomly.
Let's get started.
Am I standing next to them? Have I run off across the map? Are we in combat? Are we not in combat?
As a player plays that more than once, they won't hear the same dialogue every time.
We don't necessarily have a concept of a take is a take. A take is a piece that you can make into a different take sometimes because it turned out you needed something later, long after the session that you thought you were gonna need.
I hope we can hunt together again someday.
I need to hear something good. Anything.
To what do we owe this honor?
That's one of the hardest parts about being able to put together dynamic dialogue in a game, is making sure that the actor stays consistent.
Last call. Closing down. End of shift.
So that this line can follow that line, can follow that line, and it all makes sense.
I understand. Your Grace.
Good luck!
Yeah, so what you're seeing here is the audio engine in action. We can see what sounds are playing when with this little text readout here on the screen. The mix is the most important part. You can have a lot of great content, but if you don't get the game mixed right, then the players have a horrible experience. Either the music doesn't have the impact it needs to have.
Thank you for your input, Eris.
Or you can't understand the dialogue, which ruins your story experience. You don't know what's going on. Or, you know, if there's too much high end in a weapon sound, it can literally hurt people if you don't do your job right.
For the gameplay, the engine is pretty much the way everything is mixed.
It's very powerful in the way that allows us to monitor things and for us to be able to manipulate audio in the game.
We have a way of choosing which sound plays at what time based on what the player needs to know or needs to hear or what just is cool.
So every time the player plays, it's essentially mixing sound real time based on certain preset mix settings.
What we see right here is basically all the emitters I'm playing in the world. They kind of vary in color. It's telling me the state that they're in. Some of them that are gray, for example, I've totally turned off because they're too far away or not important enough. The yellow is something that is active that we've turned off because there's so many other projectile sounds. You know, you only need to hear about 2 or 3 of this to get an idea of what's going on. What results is all the blue sounds. These are all the sounds providing a layer that's interesting to what is currently going on the screen.
If something's not playing and we think it should be, we can look and see if the game thinks it's there, then we might know it's in our mix, or if it's not there at all, then we know it's probably inside in the game engine somewhere. It's not being called, or it's not hooked up, or it's going on, because once you've got hundreds of sounds all piled up, it's really hard sometimes to know exactly what's causing the symptom.
Destiny has such a sweeping story. The music that's tragic, it's epic, and it continues to evolve over time. With the first Destiny, we were maybe a little more on a grand scale, whereas on Taken King, we went a little more personal and dark.
Music helps the sound of the game by scoring the emotion of the experience.
Slayer of my son.
Hopefully without doing it so overtly that people know what's happening. You want to give it a bit of a tilt in the direction. If it's dark, you want the music to kind of push it in that direction.
When we very first started writing for Destiny, we didn't really know yet what the world was. I mean, we're using MIDI instruments or sampled instruments or whatever just to get the ideas across.
We'll sketch out a piece of music that you can actually hear, and then oftentimes that will get re-recorded later with live musicians.
There's a very sort of exciting live feel to it that you just can't replicate in MIDI.
My goal, obviously, is to make the best music that we can and help it really complement the gameplay and the stories that are implemented and really make it, you know, sound and feel right.
Yes, and a lot of the music plays under guns firing and bombs going off and all that stuff, but that's the game biz, man. That's okay. I love knowing it's there, even when you can't hear it because the explosions are too loud. I know it's there. I know it's there, and it makes me happy.
I love that C. Paul and a few others totally went balls to the wall on a bunch of different levels and sort of took Bungie music in a way that we haven't been to in the past. If you've played any of The Moon, you get a little of this going on.
It's like Marilyn Manson meets EDM is how I saw a fan that played the beta describe it.
Yeah, that works for me. It meets Marilyn Manson. I call him C. Paul Resner at the moment. Don't tell him I said that.
I've definitely heard a Nine Inch Nails quality in the stuff that he has written for the Hive.
I didn't think of that as a term, but that basically applies to what that music is, and that's something completely foreign to Bungie games in the past. That was very gratifying because I feel like I brought something new to what the Bungie audio experience is and can be.
A lot of times when you're building something, it's not until you're done that you realize what you were trying to build in the first place.
You've got this blank canvas to create a universe from scratch and then make it sound like that universe.
It was a really challenging task, for sure, for us to basically throw out everything we'd done for 10 years as far as an audio team goes and all the code base that we'd had prior to this and go to a brand new engine and make a brand new game.
Bungie's gotten so much bigger, but Bungie still maintains the philosophy of iteration until it's right. There's a system there to build on, and there's a lot of depth to that.
Destiny is still evolving. We're still deciding what Destiny is as we go. I'm a true believer, and I want to be here for this for a while. I'm having fun.
I enjoy putting it all together and making it all come to life.